Hey guys, Torsar the Barbarian here with another sports talk video. Today I wanted to talk about something that came up today, and I think it's an issue that actually stretches into normal society. And that's something that a lot of people are guilty of nowadays, which is what I call one or the otherism. So what this means is that people always think, a lot of people that is, always think that things either have to be one way or the other, right? They're either black or white, big or small, dry or wet, dark or light. And you know what? Most of life isn't like that. Most of life is a big gray amorphous blob that's filled with context and minutia and many varying reasons for why things are the way they are. Now, years-long question now has been Brady or Belichick. Who's really responsible for the Patriots' success? Who's the one who was really the reason why they stayed successful? And, you know, even for the people who want to put a percentage on it, I mean, this isn't a pie chart. This isn't a math equation. All right, Skip Bayless likes to say it's 25% Belichick and 75% Tom Brady. I mean, if you're going to give Tom Brady that much credit, just go all the way and say it was all Tom Brady. But you know what? You know why people can't do that? Because of the first stage of their success. All right? And the way that the defense was a very strong point of those early New England teams. Okay, and anyone who watched that first Super Bowl, remember how they came out of the tunnel, right? Now, leading up to that, during the Super Bowl, it was a big thing for all the players to start running out of the tunnel, one by one, having the starters' names called. The guys were all lined up on each side. Guys would, high five going down, and I liked that. It was cool, But man, in that first Patriots win, because they had just been, a lot of people think like, oh, the Patriots, Belichick came in and he turned this horrible team. But no, they had just been in the Super Bowl like 5 years before with Belichick's mentor and Bill Parcells, right? Who do you think Brett Favre beat in the Super Bowl? The New England Patriots. And about 10 years before that, remember that great all-time Bears defense that won that one Super Bowl? Who did they beat in the Super Bowl? The New England Patriots, all right? So it's not like they came out of nowhere. Yes, during the 80s and the 90s, there were stretches when they weren't a very good team. Some people like to say the laughing stock. I don't know if they were ever the laughing stock like the Cleveland Browns or the Detroit Lions. But, even for, my team, the Giants, there were some stretches, all throughout the 90s after Parcells left. They weren't very good. And then we finally get back to the Super Bowl and what was it, 01, and just get our complete just ass whooping handed to us by the Ravens. So, my point is that you can't always just look at this as like, all right, Belichick and Brady stepped in and they started doing great, or, oh, it was all Belichick to begin with, and then once he taught Tom Brady stuff, it was all Tom Brady. No, it was an evolving process, okay? Belichick helped to build Brady. Brady might not have ever become the quarterback that we know of now, under anyone else. And maybe without Brady, Bill Belichick wouldn't have gotten past that season where a lot of people say in that first Super Bowl season for the Patriots that he was in trouble before they started having that success. And you see now the comments, Robert Kraft has been making recently, like, hey, I don't pay all this money to sit here and, not see my team have success. So obviously, as much success as he's had, they're not giving Belichick a free pass. But I like to look at the Tom Brady and Randy Moss duo, right? This is a good example because a lot of this stuff, when you start comparing the coach and the quarterback, that's tough because, like, how much of the percentage of the stuff that the coach is doing we never even see or hear about, particularly from a guy who's as closed mouth as Belichick. right? We have to hear about it from other sources. We have to hear about the room full of videotapes. We have to hear about the consultants. We have to hear about, you know, how maniacal he is about all this stuff. And remember, too, the guy's been shopping for the groceries as well the whole time. Usually this doesn't happen with coaches. There aren't very many coaches who are the coach GM. Usually if they do it, it's a situation like with Bill O'Brien a couple years ago where it was a doubling down. All right, well, you don't agree with how the roster went, so we're going to get rid of the GM and now let you shop for the groceries. But this is kind of like, like I said, a doubling down process where, well, you better get it done. Now you have no excuse, right? So, but Brady and Moss, when they got together, they both made each other better, right? Randy Moss was already an established, all-time great wide receiver. And Tom Brady was just coming into his prime. I don't know, extended his prime too, but he was just coming into his prime where you could start to say, hey, it's not just New England's defense and then Tom Brady being, a gold plus game manager. This guy's throwing, 5,000 yards, 50 TDs. I mean, it was insane. And then how many TDs Randy Moss had that year? What was it, like 24? I mean, they just set all-time records, and they both made each other better. Brady enhanced Moss. Moss enhanced Brady. It wasn't. Oh well, Brady made Moss, or Brady finally became a good quarterback because he had Moss catching passes. I mean, look at all the receivers that have come into New England, and even if they were good before, you look at a guy like Wes Welker or a Danny Amendola, they were good before they got to New England. When they started catching passes from Tom Brady, they were great. The only guy we can't really, or one of the only guys we can't really see this is with Gronk, because we've never seen him play with any other QB. Now, I mean, I'm sure Gronk would be great with catching passes from just about anyone. I don't think that's really a discussion. But I don't think it's much of a discussion either to sit there and say, oh, well, it's Brady or Belichick or Brady. I just think it's silly to even try to put percentages on it or anything like that because, like I said, it's not a math equation. There's never going to be a right or wrong answer. Tom Brady can go ahead and win the next 2 Super Bowls with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It still doesn't prove anything. Their roster is insane. Everyone knew he handpicked that team. And also, Belichick, yes, they haven't won a Super Bowl without Brady, but is that really like the measure of his success? Does he really have to win a Super Bowl to prove it wasn't just Tom Brady? I mean, look at the year Brady got hurt. They went 11-5 with Matt Castle. Now, they didn't make the playoffs that year, but that was just because it was an anomaly. It was one of those insane years where there was a bunch of really good teams. Just about every other year in NFL history, 11-5 makes the playoffs. So that was kind of an anomaly year where because of that, we didn't get to see what they would have done in the playoffs without Brady. And also remember, there was a long stretch in between them winning Super Bowls. And all those guys were being questioned at that time, right? It wasn't just, oh, well, Tom Brady doesn't have it anymore. It was, oh, can Bill Belichick still build a defense? Can he build a roster? I mean, there was a lot of questions. People were saying, Brady was going to fall off a cliff soon. The old Max Kellerman. Where did that, how does that take look now? Both those guys have proved a lot of people wrong. They've had tremendous success. The Patriots are going to be good this year. Tampa Bay is looking like just an absolute monster. And like I said, I don't care how much success Brady and Gronk have this year. I mean, you guys don't think they couldn't go back to the Patriots and do the same thing? Sometimes these relationships just run their course. And the fact that it ran so long in New England is just a testament to both their professionalism and their desire to win, I think that relationship lasted about 5 years longer than it normally would have for most people. And, you know, because of Brady's greatness, it wasn't just the professionalism, but it was the fact that Brady was so great that he actually had leverage where most QBs don't, where he could go to Papa Kraft and say, "Hey, this Jimmy G guy, I'm not going anywhere. You got to get this guy out of here." I know Belichick loves this, the old hardcore motto where you get rid of a guy. It's better to get rid of a guy a year early than a year late. But that just didn't work in that situation, and they had success afterwards. They're both going to have success, and I don't think really, especially when you look back, it's easy to look back at any one year and say, oh well, they either did or didn't win the Super Bowl. A lot of people forget what was going on in the moment. Like people like to point at LeBron James being 4-6 in the NBA finals. Well, guess what? In those 6 losses, you're just looking at the end result. How do you think the cities that he was playing for felt each time they knew that their team was going to be in the NBA finals? That was an exciting period for those teams, for those fan bases. That was people will have everlasting moments even in those losses, and the fact that he was such a strong opponent that gave other teams legitimacy for beating him. And the same thing goes with New England, man. As a Giants fan, I don't care how bad we are, I'll always have 18-1. 18-1, baby, that'll be forever. And then also the fact that the next time, 4 years later, we went through a 15-1 Aaron and Rodgers, and then the Patriots again. I'll always have that. It doesn't matter. I'll always have those memories. And you know what? New England helped with that. It wouldn't have been the same thing if we had beaten any other team. And they made a lot of people successful throughout the years. It was such a long run. There's just no way you can put percentages on it. And there's no way you could say it was one guy or the other. It was both. I think this is something that we need to stop doing as a society, is just saying it's just one or the other. That's such a like slow-petted take. There's many different reasons to stuff. There's many different reasons of why the Patriots won and why they were successful. So let's just stop with this Brady or Belichick talk. I mean, Jordan and LeBron is a better conversation to have, all right? Just because it's all hypothetical. So I'm not going to say either one. I both enjoyed watching them throughout the years, because no matter how you feel about the Patriots, you could say one thing: every single Super Bowl that they were in was always a watchable game. Maybe that last one with the 13-3 score or whatever it wasn't the greatest. They didn't really bring the offenses that day, but it was still at least a close game. There wasn't any Peyton Manning's first Super Bowl with the Broncos versus that Seahawks, the Legion of Doom, where it was like 2 plays in and the game was already over, and it was just such an unwatchable Super Bowl. The Patriots never had a Super Bowl like that. So I just hope when everyone looks back that, I'm sure that conversation won't go away, and Belichick will be upset that Brady has continued success, not because he hates Brady or anything, but because he knows he's not going to hear the end of it. As long as Brady keeps winning without him and the Patriots aren't winning Super Bowls, then he's just going to have to hear that talk, which, I'm sure can't make him too happy. I know it wouldn't make me happy, and I'm sure if any of you guys put yourselves in his shoes, you could understand that too. But what do you guys think? Was it Brady? Was it Belichick? Let me know. If you like this topic, drop a like, drop a subscribe. Really helps me out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Okay? Bye.